Go ahead.
Sweet. Yeah, so thanks everyone. I'm back. Haven't left. Here to talk about uh, how Stacklet works for cloud usage optimization and governance. Um, Going to be going over a brief overview on how Stacklet works. We've been talking about it throughout the sessions today. Uh, but first of all, Stacklet is built on top of open source. And it's built on top of open source in a way that we truly believe in terms of, it is created at Capital One originally by Kapil Theggavelu. After that, we've worked very hard to get it uh, donated into the hands of the CNCF or the Linux Foundation because we believe in that true robust open source community and culture in terms of making sure that open actually means open, right? So some quick stats, 350 million plus downloads. We've got thousands of organizations using custodian in some form or the other, be it FinOps, security, compliance, um, what have you. And it's built for a real world action, real world remediation, um, and driving that mean time to savings down even before that term was ever coined, right? Uh, Next up. So why Stacklet and what's unique about it? First of all, the broad coverage on resource types. So we cover every major cloud service provider. So that's Azure, AWS, GCP. We also cover off on a lot more resources than you may see from other tools in terms of you know EC2, RDS, S3, Azure VM, GCP VM instances, that type of stuff. Of course, like every tool is going to be able to support that. But the open source community is really what allows us to drive that broad support. And it's not just broad in terms of you just support the resource and nothing else. There's also depth to that, right? So bunch of resources, bunch of filters, bunch of actions that you could take in order to get to your goals here. Um, Next, we're built on top of, like I said, like real world use cases where you may not have that edict to go and delete an instance that you think is wasteful, right? You have to collaborate. You have to talk to other stakeholders, other resource owners inside your organization and get them to take action on your behalf. And Stacklet and Cox, built on top of that open source cloud custodian core, enables us to build those workflows out such a way that's it's flexible to you and your organization, how you work. So if that's if you're a chat-based org and you use primarily, Slack and Teams, great. We can go and talk to resource owners through chat. If you're email or if you want to do things through Jira, that's also fine. We could do that as well, go through a ticketing system. And so, being able to adjust to all these different types of use cases, all these types of organizations, I think has been a key pillar to our ability to drive real results across orgs. And finally, the preventive piece. So Stacklet is, we've got these policies, right, which can go and look at all of your resources at one time and determine which ones are compliant or non-compliant and then take action. But we can also work on the preventive motion as well in terms of going and responding to cloud API events where if a resource gets created and it's created with, say, the wrong instance type, or it's created with it's a GPU attached instance, and the resource owner is not authorized. I believe that was the an earlier conversation around like ensuring and authorizing people to launch resources correctly. Um, we believe that automation is the key here, right? We want to prevent that through governance guardrails. We don't want to prevent that through, forcing people to read documentation, so to speak. Of course, your developers should read your docs. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that docs are bad, but there's a key part of this where you really need a system in place to ensure that um, you're checking off all the boxes without the human side of it necessarily uh, being forced to read documentation. And of course, we also do IAC governance as well. So being able to check your Terraform code before it gets deployed. Um, I think of every single stage in terms of from Terraform IAC code to deploying it to dev to deploying it to prod. Each one incurs like a 10x cost increase in terms of the amount of time and effort and energy it takes to fix a problem. So, if you have to fix a line in Terraform, it's like 10 minutes. If you have to go and fix something in dev, it may take an hour. And then if the problem's made it all the way to production, you know, depending on how severe the problem is, it may take a day, it may take a week, right? It may require some downtime for the business. So be able to fix those problems earlier in the life cycle is super, super valuable. And if we're doing a 10x time reduction twice or 10 squared, right? That's a 100x reduction in terms of the energy it takes uh, to fix a problem. So we're big believers in shift left, big believers in IC governance. Next up. Talked previously about LLMs and how they enhance our reporting ability. Be able to go from intent to policy is one thing. Being able to go from intent to insights is something else that our Juno, our LLM assistant does as well in terms of just asking a question about your cost data, um, just asking a question about your resource data. This is all backed by the powerful and real-time asset inventory that we call Asset DB. So Asset DB will go and take a look at your resources, record changes to them as they happen. And this also applies to your cost data, so you can see a historical change to your cost data on a per resource basis. Um, and of course, as you get tags rolled out, this makes a lot of the data that we have in AssetDB even more interesting. And of course, Stacklet, we're not going to leave you like high and dry in terms of like if you don't have tags, yeah, the data is not useful to you. Stacklet is also really great in terms of both the IC governance side and as well as the runtime side of things in terms of getting your tag compliance to a sufficient level that could really grant you additional insights into your cost data as well. Um, yeah, so I talked briefly about notifications. So, the ability to go from Slack, the ability to go to GitHub Actions and GitHub inline GitHub comments, the ability to go to Jira tickets. I think this is meeting engineers where they're already working. I think this is ultimately what people want to do. They don't necessarily want to go out and learn a new tool or what have you. We really want to embed ourselves in these engineer workflows. Um, Out of the box insights. So for Stacklet, we not only ship you with dashboards, and of course, dashboards can only do so much. We really care about you taking action, which is why we also ship policies with policy metadata that gives you that remediation information right there. So, clicking into an opportunity, it's not just like, okay, I don't know what to do about this. You can immediately see that, these are the remediation options. We have a bunch of actions in the policy language as well, which can help you take that action on an automated sense without having to rely on people manually fixing the problem. In resource history, this has been super useful in terms of be able to see what happened to your resources, be able to see the change in resource cost as well, of course. These things are available inside as AssetDB is available inside of our console. Um, Yeah, super useful. Like, being a cloud engineer at a larger organization, I can tell you definitely firsthand that uh, the question of like what happened to my resource or why is something costing more all of a sudden, like these are all real problems that finance practitioners have and that I've gone through and would have loved to have something like this to just be able to ask a question and get the answer. Spoke a bit about IC governance. So again, be able to go from your Terraform code and finding those misconfigurations earlier. Like again, it could be up to 100x decrease, 1% of your energy and effort if you could catch it early enough. Um, would love to get to a point where all infrastructure is defined by IC. I know that for certain orgs that is the case, for other orgs it's not. Um, but if you are in an org that heavily utilizes IAC, that this is I think policy is a natural extension to that, right? Being able to define these rules and get into the CI/CD pipeline earlier in the process. With that being said, just a few sneak peeks. So, again, we'll be at FinOps X. Super excited to be there and chat with you all in person. If you're going to be there, definitely swing by. But in terms of features coming in the upcoming roadmap, number one is Action Center and Stacklet campaigns. So, being able to drive visibility on opportunities, be able to drive action in the console to achieve real savings. I think that's something that we all want. We don't want to just look at a dashboard and admire all the stuff that we could be doing. We also want to help you align your resource owners on what we call Stacklet campaigns. So be able to say, hey, for this quarter, we're going to try to get our underutilized compute under control. We're going to set a goal of a savings goal. We're also, we may also set a goal in terms of resource compliance. So embedding those KPIs directly into your process so that you can measure up and see how you're doing and celebrate those wins as you get there. Um, we've been talking about mean time to savings a lot, and we'll be embedding that more directly inside the product experience in terms of being able to understand how you're doing on a variety of dimensions, right? On a per policy basis, on a savings bucket in terms of, are you saving money faster for these smaller opportunities or medium size or large opportunities? Um, of course, being able to slice this by different tags as well, so you can understand which parts of your organization are actually doing better. Um, and try to drive that culture change, try to drive that behavior change, so that people understand that like these findings are not just for show. Like we want people to actually try to help us save money, right? Next up, talk briefly about Juno earlier in terms of stuff that's upcoming, right? FinOps agent be able to orchestrate these longer running workflows, be able to go and define a FinOps goal or FinOps um, objective, and going from intent to policy or intent to insights faster than ever. We think it's super exciting. Super stoked to be sharing all this with you all. And finally, again, meet us at FinOps. So, I'm always happy to chat. Always happy to chat about cloud. We'll be at booth number 11. If you want to see a more substantial demo, come check us out at stacklet.io, and I will hand it over back to Umair.